Hello guys, welcome back to DS Tech. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the NK65 and how to make it sound better. Hopefully you guys like this video because we're going to go from this to this. And as you guys can see, it's probably worth it. So let's just jump into it. Okay, so before we start, we're going to need a couple of things. The first one being lube. In this case, we're going to be using 205G0. Its viscosity is actually quite high, so it's going to help us out with the rattle from the stabs. After that, we're going to need a paintbrush. It's going to be really useful for when we try to use it with the lube. And lastly, we're going to need a screwdriver. This is going to help us unscrew all those little screws that there's going to be in the keyboard. It's going to be very helpful, and hopefully we don't end up getting any of those screws lost. Okay, so our first step is having the keyboard just empty. We have to disassemble it, of course, but we have to make sure there's nothing inside, neither keycaps or switches or anything like that. So after we have unscrewed everything, we have to make sure that the plate is separated from the PCB and also that the plate is separated from the stabs. The way we're going to do that is that the stabs have actually some type of hook at the top of it. So we have to press on that and push towards the outside of the plate. That way it can come out. Now, after that, we're going to have to make sure that we separate everything from the stab itself so we can clean it off, because as we saw, it had some lube. This lube is actually not that great because, as you guys heard before, we were actually able to hear some rattle, and we want to make sure to get rid of that rattle. We're going to try our best, so let's just see how it goes. First, we want to make sure that every single part from the stab is cleaned off, no lube. You can use a tissue and maybe some alcohol to make sure that there's no lube in there. Just try your best so there's no lube inside any of it. Anyways, after that is done, we want to reapply some lube. The way we're going to do this is by using our paintbrush and some lube. So we don't want to apply that much lube. We just want to make sure that there is at least a very thin coat of lube around the areas where I'm showing right here. This is very important because if we apply too much lube, the sound is going to be very different, and we don't want that. We want something like fuck. There's a saying that people should strive for thunk instead of clickiness in the keyboard world, and that's what we're trying to do this time. Anyways, so let's try to just apply just a thin coat of lube and see how it goes. After that's done, we want to make sure to put the stabs together. It's kind of hard trying to show it with my camera, but more or less you want to try to do something like this while putting the stab together. Don't worry if it gets a little bit messy. It's just normal. Just try to clean it off a little bit if it's outside of the parts where the lube should go. Okay, so after you have assembled all the stabs again together, just make sure you put them back into the plate. The way we're gonna do this is actually the same way that we actually took them out. So we want to put the bottom part first. The metal has to be inside the plate on the back, and then on the top we push towards the inside, and until we hear some type of click, that would mean that it's completely inside. After that, we want to make sure to put everything back together, screw everything very carefully. You guys have to keep in mind that the material for this plate is some type of polycarbonate type of plastic, so if you start screwing a little bit too hard, you might break the board, so be careful. After that's done, we have our final product. I hope you guys liked this video and it was very useful to you. Hopefully the sound of your keyboard now it's much better than before, and this is a very popular keyboard. So if you think this video was helpful, make sure to leave that like down below. Subscribe for more content like this related to keyboards or whatever thing I might come up with. As of now, I don't know. Anyways, have a nice day. Peace.